Cut. And cut.
Cut it there.
Cut, cut, cut!
Ribbit.
And cut.
Cut.
Cut. Terrific.
Cut. And cut.
Cut. Let's try it again.
Cut! And cut.
Cut. Check the gate.
Cut it. Cut.
Welcome to Cut, just another movie podcast. I'm Manny.
I'm Angie.
And we are siblings that love to discuss, banter, and analyze our favorite movies. This week, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to do a live commentary. I can't say this is my favorite Star Wars movie, but we're doing it on the Rise of Skywalker. Angie, what are your thoughts on this film?
Well, I haven't seen it since we saw it opening night.
Me neither.
And I don't really remember like feeling anything about it as soon as it was done. Like I didn't hate it.
I had plenty of feelings after
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I was just kind of like, okay. And then like the days following, the more I thought about it, the more I realized I hated it. So, but also that was only one time seeing it. Maybe this time I'll change my mind. I doubt it, but I guess we'll see.
I noticed that you have a beverage in your hand.
Yes.
You want to tell the audience about that?
I have a White Claw seltzer, black cherry flavor. The first time I saw this movie, I think I was drinking like beer or something, but I feel like I should have a drink with me this time too.
Yeah, because we saw it at the AMC in Dolby. I am drinking this Bar Dog. I have no clue what I'm doing with wine, but it had a dog on it and it looked cool. And it definitely, pun intended, has bite to it. Angie didn't like it, was not a fan.
I hate wine, so I don't really like wine.
But I feel like you hated this one like specifically.
It's a very winey wine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
But it has like 13% alcohol. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Going back to when we first saw it, I definitely checked out in the middle of it. I can easily say that. And once we watch the movie, I'll show you the exact moment where I was over it. We'll get more into it as we watch the film, but I'll preface by saying this. Any movie is really hard to do, from your easiest, most basic film, budget of like $50,000 to up into something like this. So I have empathy for, the creators and just what a battle it is to make such a big movie like this, to make it happen in the first place. However, there are definite basic flaws that are inherited in this film that I think are in this film. And that to me is sort of the most disappointing part of it, because you had really great creators, really great people sort of that had done this before. This was JJ's second Star Wars film. And that's, I think, the thing that was just like, I felt like we should know better than to do some of the things that they ended up doing. But before we started, do you have any other words?
No, I agree with everything that you just said about the creators and everything. And for what it's worth, we're Star Wars fans still, and have been forever, and probably will be forever.
Yeah, we should probably say that, like, our history of Star Wars, because people are going to watch
I'm wearing a Kylo
this.
Ren shirt right now. You probably can't really see it, but it's there. There's Arabesh on it. But yeah, we in Star Wars go a long way.
Yeah, I remember watching the original trilogy when it was on VHS. I think it was in middle school, and this was pre-special edition. So it was the last version of the original trilogy before the special edition, and I burned through them. I had never seen them before. I didn't have an older brother or sister, so I fell into Star Wars way late. I think like for middle school. I had heard about it, but I'd never watched it. And so the first time I saw them was, like I said, on VHS, and I like crammed through them and like was obsessed. And then special edition happened. Some things were great, others not so great. And then the prequels happened, and then Yeah.
My first introduction to Star Wars was actually when you were watching Star Wars. Like the first memory I have is the very last scene of Return of the Jedi when
Mhm.
Luke is burning Darth Vader's body. That's the first scene I ever saw of Star Wars, which I guess is a spoiler in retrospect. But I mean, I was like 6 or something. So I don't really remember. But that was the first thing that I saw of Star Wars. And then the first, I guess, I grew up with, I guess, the prequel trilogy. Because the first one came out when I was like 9 and the last one came out when I was already in high school.
Yeah, and I think the prequels technically would be our trilogy.
Yeah.
Because I was in high school and well, like almost out of high school and you were in it was 99. You were
Yeah.
like 9.
Yeah, I was 9.
Yeah.
And I think thinking back on the prequels, they get a lot of hate, but they're not bad.
Okay. That's another thing we should talk about. So prepping for when Rise of Skywalker came out, I went back and tried to watch all of them. I made it and I started with episode 1 and I saw the all the prequels, and then obviously when I hit, the original 3, I've seen them so many times that I sort of skipped them, and then I jumped to Force Awakens, and I have to say that rewatching the prequels was pretty tough for me.
I don't think so.
Especially Attack of the Clones. That was like home. It felt like homework. It felt really rough, and I mean, they all have some great moments, but I think Attack of the Clones is just the acting is just pretty atrocious, and the dialogue, and I mean, what hasn't been said about the prequels, and like Phantom Menace isn't that bad. I mean, Jar Jar Binks is what he was, and it was for kids, and I think as a high schooler, I think I left Phantom Menace when I watched it in the theaters thinking like that was good. But then I never watched it again, and I never went back and watched it in the theaters. And
I think I saw Phantom Menace like twice in the theater.
Really?
Or like 3 times.
I don't know. It felt like an abuse to watch a movie more than once. I think maybe because we didn't have money, and it just felt like too much of a what's the word? It felt too much of an extravagance to be like, oh, I'm gonna watch the same movie twice. Like what?
Yeah.
But I saw Revenge of the Sith at the ArcLight in the Cinerama Dome, which is like I think one of the first movies I saw in the dome, and it was pretty great. That to me by far is like the best one out of the prequels. But yeah, I'll reference some of the things that I noticed rewatching the prequels that have something to do with the Rise of Skywalker. Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
ready.
gonna hit play. We're watching this on Disney Plus, so if you want to sync it, I will say play. When to hit play. Okay, I'm on the 0-0 mark on Disney Plus. And play. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Why are we doing this again?
Because it's the right thing to do.
No, it's not. And Star Wars logo. When did you know that we were in trouble with this movie?
I don't remember, but I'll tell you when it shows up.
Now?
Now. No, actually when I saw this, I wasn't like super annoyed with it. I was just kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens after this.
I mean, I can go back to when it was announced that the Emperor was coming back, and I thought like, man, we're going to do more rehash. And then as soon as I saw the dead speak, that was sort of the explanation for it, and just reading the crawl. This is probably the worst crawl. I mean, of all of them. And it was just sort of like, I mean, I still had hope that it would be like decent, that it would be good. But after reading that, I was just like, ugh. I did not feel good about it. I was still engaged.
And then they said that this was going to be the longest one out of all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So.
That that didn't. I don't know. It was still. It was still rough.
I honestly don't remember how this starts.
I don't remember how it started. Isn't it Kylo?
Are we in Mustafar?
Isn't he? It's when he meets the Emperor. Do you want to introduce our friend?
Our co-host today is our dog, Vinny. You can't see him, but he's there.
He's right next to me.
You might have heard him bark.
Oh, here we go. So
yeah, this is Mustafar, right?
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's Mustafar.
Okay. I will say, when I saw this scene in the trailer, it was pretty badass, and I thought like, oh, we're gonna go into some backstory, or at least leading up to maybe the Knights of Ren. And that was the other sort of bummer, is that, you know, that they had been let up, and like everyone was sort of waiting for maybe that side story, and it never happened. And Vinny.
That's the holocron,
Yeah.
right?
And that's another sort of, okay, before we start ripping this movie apart, let's start with the positives. Visually, it's an incredibly looking movie. Like visually, it's stunning. Acting is fantastic. The cast has always been solid across the board. And that's where my positives end.
Yeah, and I just double checked with the visual dictionary, and that is actually Mustafar. So
Okay. For the hardcores out there.
yeah, I should have had the visual dictionary with me. But
Yeah, because most of the plot is apparently
in the visual
book
dictionary
and not in the movie. And that's another sort of thing that I was like, really? Like, that's what it's come down to, that we're focusing on. I mean, I don't mind the books at all, but if you're trying to tell a story in a movie and be super crucial about storytelling, you can't leave that stuff out and just, you know, oh, we'll just leave it for the books and the comics. And
right,
and all
because not
that.
everyone can get the books or the comics, or not everyone wants to get the books and the comics.
Yeah, and to me, this is just like fundamental storytelling. Like, it's like, if I were to just write a book and then said like, oh, well, some of the really hardcore details, yeah, I'm going to come out with an anime about it, and you have
Right.
to watch that. It's just. Yeah, and then
Hate this already.
Yeah, and this is like the beginning of the end, where, and I understand that people were debating and like who's Snoke, but to me, the movie's never guaranteed that we would get an explanation for it. I feel like the fans were the ones that were built it up, that it's like, is that, you know, Rey's dad, or like, who is he? And it's okay to wonder, but I feel like it started getting way too specific. And there's a shot.
Little baby Snokes. Yeah, I don't think they really needed to explain
No.
Snoke's backstory like at all.
No. I mean, he served his, to me, like, he served his purpose. Like, you know, he died in Last Jedi, and that's the other thing too, is like, I know The Last Jedi really divided a lot of people, and I personally loved it. It's the most challenging, I think, of Star Wars, if any of them. And that to me is like one of the great things about it, that it challenged a lot of things. And I know that bothered a lot of people, but at the same time, where was the series supposed to go? Like, it can't just be Rehash City all the time.
Yeah, I feel like The Last Jedi opened a lot of possibilities, and then The Rise of Skywalker just kind of shut them all again.
Mhm.
And then you have Palpatine in this weird like Hellraiser chair.
Yeah. And
All
I
these
mean-
random Imperial starships.
and that's the other thing too, is like, I get the idea of that the Empire, or the Emperor, is like super powerful and stuff. But it, like, this shot, it's like, holy shit. Like, it's an abundance of ships, and where were they? Where do they come from? Like, you know.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was thinking of. I was like, are they like projections? Like,
Yeah, are
force
they real? Are they,
you know?
like, are they sort of in the Emperor's mind?
Like,
Is
who's
he
flying
manifesting
all of them?
Yeah. For all the logistical people out there that get really caught up in like but there's no gravity in those bombs, and like they shouldn't be going down in The Last Jedi, and
Right. How do you explain that?
yeah. And you can't use that. Well, it's in Marvel Comics number 37.53. We're totally gonna get ripped for
Good.
ripping this movie.
I hope so. I'm ready. Here we have our space boyfriends playing chess
Mhm.
with Chewie.
What do you think about their relationship?
I think it was wasted
Mm-hmm.
because
So you wanted them to get together?
yeah, or even yeah, because it's very obvious in The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty obvious in The Last Jedi. There's a book in between The Last Jedi and The Rise, I think, where they like go to some ball. They're like on a mission to go to some ball or whatever. And like Poe gets jealous because Finn, it's something where it's like very obvious.
Mm.
And then for them to just like completely ignore it in this movie is just kind of dumb. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. When I first saw The Force Awakens, that moment that they had that everyone went nuts for, I hadn't really put it together until I rewatched it again.
Dude, as soon as I saw it in the movie theater, I was like,
Really?
are they really going to do this?
But and obviously at the end of the movie, there's a moment that was wasted. That it's like, why would you put it in the movie? Spoiler alert.
Completely lost track of what's happening.
Yeah. So they're in the Falcon, and what are they
Random
trying to get?
alien named Bulio. It looked like a hard drive.
And this is, like a reprise of The Force Awakens and A New Hope. A little bit. This is, by the way, we're watching this with closed captioning because obviously if we use the audio, we'll get the algorithm will find us and take the video down. So it's interesting to watch it with no sound and just kind of watching.
It's really weird to watch it with no sound.
Yeah, especially because like this is a big action piece in the movie, and to just not hear anything, it's kind of weird. Oh, I remember this is the whole hyperspace jumping, right? The light speed jumping.
Yes, I think. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
I thought this was a little weird because it's like the idea, and I even going back to Force Awakens, when they land on what was it, the Death Star Part 2?
Star Killer?
Star Killer base. Don't they do like hyper, they jump out of light speed like right on top of the planet and somehow like slow down enough to like glide on it?
I think so.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, they kind of like slide in. I think so.
Yeah.
I want to remember something like that.
Again, for the logistics, like it just feels like they're going way too fast to be able to just like.
I think now I'm remembering how I felt about this while I was watching it because it's exactly how I feel about it right now. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
And they're just jumping from thing to thing super fast. Like we were just on Mustafar with Kylo. Then we were on a chase of the Millennium Falcon with Poe, Finn, and Chewbacca. Now we're with Rey, and it's been like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't even been that long.
And here I'll drop one of the things that I sort of realized rewatching the prequels and then watching this. One of the things that the prequels I think suffer from is the pacing, with the editing of it, the flow of the story. And it's like there's a fluidity to it when, if you analyze a great movie, they're very fluid and you don't really notice like what Angie's talking about, how like it just kind of jumps around. It's seamless. And watching this movie really reminded me of the prequels pacing wise. It was just kind of all over the place and it never really sort of hit its stride and like, where it was just kind of flowing and you're kind of like lost in the movie. It felt like it jumped too much around. And seeing Carrie Fisher, I think one of the things that was out of everyone's control is Carrie Fisher dying. I feel like that really screwed up Disney's and Lucasfilm's plans to really make this movie possibly about her. I know there's a lot of rumors out there that the Trevorrow cut. Let's bring that back, guys.
Yeah. Well, how you were talking about it being more centered on Leia, they interviewed her daughter, Billie Lourd, for, I can't remember if it was Vanity Fair or what it was for, but it was around the time, it was either right before Rise of Skywalker came out or right after when everyone was talking about it. And she did mention that Carrie was super excited about this episode because it was supposed to be Leia's movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of trying to imagine like what it could have been like if she was still alive.
Well, and I think like I said, to try to stick the landing, to, bring this whole saga to a close and then to lose Carrie, they were working uphill, so I'll give to them, that it was a super struggle, and I'm sure trying to come up with a story that sort of still involved Carrie, but still was able to sort of produce an ending that would satisfy people is like just super impossible to try and do.
Also, she just crushed BB-8 with a tree trunk.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, and a positive, I know we've been like super critical, but I love that they kept the Last Jedi Force jump between Rey and Kylo.
Yeah, that was one of the things I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah. And in this whole idea of having Carrie in this movie, even though, and using older footage and things that they shot, I think it looked pretty decent. There are moments where it looks a little bit weird, but I think for the most part it worked.
Also, I don't really like that she just said that she's gonna earn Luke's saber.
Yeah.
When like it's calling to her in The Force Awakens, so it's kind of like it picked her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Feel weird about it.
And this is like the first time that everyone's together, right?
Yes. Well, yeah. After The Last Jedi, they're all together, but it's just like the very last scene.
Yeah. But for the most part, this was like the point where they finally all sort of hung out. Because in Last Jedi, that's when Poe and Rey like literally
meet at the end,
shake hands, and like
I really like this scene between Poe and Rey, though. I think it's really funny.
They're kind of like the bickering back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think that there was a lot of sort of like when you're saying with like that they should have hooked up.
Yeah.
With Oscar Isaac and John Boyega, like, but there's also like a love triangle, which like,
yeah,
but that in itself doesn't even pay off either.
No, nothing happens there either.
Yeah.
Which is just like all these wasted relationships.
Yeah.
And you can totally see it in this scene too, which I really like. I like the way all three of them are just kind of going back and forth.
Yeah. And then like I get the whole idea of like anytime it's like, okay, we need a plan, guys. We all have to do a round table,
stand around
each other and do some exposition.
Oh, look, it's Rose. Remember Rose?
Oh, look, and we're in Lost now. By the way, Rose is the last toy that I bought at Toys R Us.
Amazing.
Before it closed.
She deserves it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I get the idea of like callbacks and sort of like wink wink. We see the fans and stuff like that, but it's just it gets to the point where it's just sort of like for me personally it's like too much. And it's just like, okay, where's the story going? Like we just got to push forward and do our thing. And then this is where Poe finally they're starting to tie in the Emperor, right? And just like
Yeah, he just mentioned that the Emperor
had like
somehow
pulled the
returned.
strings the entire
Yeah.
time, this whole time. And it's just like, what? And then we go back into what was that thing called?
Well, it looks like a holocron, but I guess it's a wayfinder.
Okay. And that's the other thing too in this movie. Like all these artifacts are so convoluted and like just
That doesn't look that good. Now that I look at it.
Yeah, they're just sort of like devices to further the plot, but also like when they get on to the water planet and well, maybe I'll save that. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So how many sort of plot lines already?
Yeah, I was just gonna try and go over them.
Yeah.
So we have Kylo Ren went to Mustafar. Palpatine tells him he has to kill Rey. Right?
Yes.
And now they're going to Exegol to find the Wayfinder to do something.
Yeah.
And now Rose is going to be like, oh, I have to stay here.
And then there's this relationship as well. Like it's. See, I thought after Last Jedi, it was set up for them to hook up.
I didn't even think that because you could see in The Last Jedi that Finn didn't really like her the way she liked him.
Mm-hmm.
But I expected more of them to be, because in that book that I was mentioning earlier, where you see more of Poe and Finn's relationship, he does tell Poe, that's what it is. Poe gets like kind of jealous of Finn and Rose's relationship, and Finn tells Poe, oh, we're just friends, like we talked it over.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so if you read the book, then their scenes in this movie make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't, you'd be like, what the hell happened? They're just like pretending like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the scene right before this where C-3PO is like essentially saying goodbye to R2, and then what happens later in the movie, I was like, okay, people need to die in this movie.
Oh my God.
There needs to be some kind of,
You just reminded me of that one scene.
There needs to be some sacrifice where people don't make
there
it.
There just needs to be something at stake.
Yeah.
And there's nothing.
Yeah. And then it's all undone. They're like tricks. Like it's just like, oh, look over here, and then you look back and nothing's really changed. So all the crew's back together. Oh, here we go. Your boy.
The Knights of Ren that do nothing but stand around.
Yep.
Watch them fix his mask.
Undoing all the things from The Last Jedi.
Exactly.
Is there a book that talks about the Knights of Ren? Like, is there?
There's comics. I think in the Kylo Ren comics, it does mention, like, you get more into who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they should have given us something in this movie.
Yep.
Helmet does look cool that way, though. I like it.
Do you like it?
I like it. I like the red. I think it's cool. Oh, I forgot. I didn't even realize they killed that alien the first time I saw this movie. I was wondering what happened to him.
Because he says, like, we have a spy in our ranks. Or are they talking about somebody else?
They thought he was the spy.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I kind of forgot about that. And that's the other thing, too. They bring in so many characters in this final film. And it's just kind of filler. Like, it doesn't really add any kind of big significance.
Yeah.
And to tie up a series, I would think, like, we already have enough characters to deal with. Like, let's sort of wrap those up instead of trying to bring in new characters and sort of add to it. And just, yeah.
Like, it reminds me of the third Spider-Man when they had like 3 villains or however many villains they had in that.
Yeah. And we jump out of hyperspace. And where is this?
And it's Exegol.
Okay.
Or yes? No. No, I think
no?
Exegol is the
Oh, here
the
we
water
okay.
planet.
I need to rewatch this super carefully because this was
This also feels like it
Oh,
goes
actually,
very
no.
fast.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. That Poe's reaction right there where he puts his hand on
That's
his face.
me.
That's me too.
That's like Poe the entire movie.
Yeah. That drug dealer.
I'll get into that later.
Is that in the Poe comic?
No. That's why I'm upset about it.
I have the first issue,
I do too, actually.
but that's it.
This looks fun.
Yeah. Like everyone's happy into it. Ray's never seen anything like this. What?
Ew.
More walking around. We're just reading the reason there's silence, we're just reading sort of the descriptions of the closed captioning. Those kids look weird.
They're just baby aliens. They're the
Yeah,
babies
but they
of
still. I kind of forgot about this part. I thought they
Yeah.
literally just walk through and then they run into Lando. I don't remember this part being as long as it is.
Oops.
The existential crisis.
Just Ray. Just Ray.
That's obviously going to be a topic of conversation later.
Wait, why is it nighttime?
Because
Oh, they're doing okay.
the force
They're doing
thing.
the thing.
Yeah. That was kind of a weird jump though.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to watch this movie with no sound. Because you could really sort of break down the pacing of it. Since you don't have any other distractions, you can really see like where the cuts are. And usually, they say that if you watch a movie without sound, and it cuts well like that,
Sorry.
it's okay.
That line was terrible.
Yeah.
Also, I heard that this room was modeled after 2001.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could kind of
Kylo's
see that.
quarters.
Yeah, I could see that.
That also seems like the most uncomfortable bedroom. It's just like all white. There's like lights everywhere.
Yeah.
Interesting that it just became like night once they had that connection. Because that
Yeah.
didn't happen in The Last Jedi.
No. That's so weird. See, that was weird too. Because he was like to the left of the frame and then like he was like in the foreground. I don't know. That was weird. There he is. And like they're still dancing.
Well, it only happens once every 42 years.
That's true. It's like a big party. Lando.
You son of a bitch.
And it's funny too because like we take it for granted. It's like obviously the crowd knows who he is, but the characters don't. So they're just like, who the hell is this guy? And everyone's just like, come on. There we go. Only 2 of those were made.
Of course.
Okay, so Lando was with him when he was trying to find one of 2 of those. And that's the thing is like it turns into like this crazy scavenger hunt.
Wasted time. That's
When
what it
it-
turns
yeah.
into, is wasted time.
They gotta get the ship.
Pose over it.
He just wants to go hook up with his lady friend and on that other planet.
That we didn't know about until this movie.
Yeah. And this is all leading up to the moment where I checked out of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And
I can't believe I forgot about that until you said something earlier.
yeah, and everything after that, I was just sort of like, just shaking my head and just sort of, I don't know, trying to make it through this movie. And I mean, I know we're being hard on this movie, but it's just like, you know, there are ways to sort of, it's just such a big franchise for it to sort of just like finish this way. Like, it's just a complete bummer. We gotta go.
Oh, this is when they fly now.
Yeah.
They fly now.
And again, like the action sequences in this movie are like rock solid.
Yeah, they're
Like,
really cool.
They're great and probably the best parts of these movies. Like just that it's just the visual effects have come such a long way, and then you could pretty much do anything you want and make it look good. And so it's just like, it's almost a given that they're going to be just like awesome action sequences. And this wasn't it? Didn't I read somewhere that this was supposed to be sort of like a throwback to the pod racing in a way?
Maybe.
Or did I dream that up?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was why this was here.
Yeah. Because just even watching it now.
Because it looks like a pod race.
Yeah. And it's the same terrain and
Yeah.
like they're going through canyons and,
Yeah.
and shit like that. It totally reminds me of, that was probably my favorite part of Phantom Menace.
Pod race.
Because it was all, that whole sequence was like computer generated. All the train, all the vehicles, minus Anakin. Everything else was like computer generated. Yeah, this is totally like pod racing. Grunts.
This is funny to watch without sound.
Yeah. Nice.
Woo.
There's a lot of that in the series too.
That's
lot
like
of wooing,
Finn's
a lot of-
signature thing is
yeah.
woo. Which is cool.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh.
Dang. Oh yeah, and they land in this
conveniently land in
weird
the one
quicksand thing.
quicksand patch that is probably very soothing.
It's probably not very soothing.
Well, it looks soothing.
Until you sink all the way under it. I think I'd rather sink standing up than how Poe is sinking.
Yeah, that's
Just
rough.
like laying down.
Yeah, I've had nightmares about that. How did they get out of this? Is there a ship under there or something?
I don't know. I don't remember. Magnets?
This
The
guy.
Festival of Ancestors.
Also, I get that this is J.J. Abrams' best friend, but
That guy is Wedge Antilles' stepson.
is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's either his son or his stepson. I'm pretty sure it was stepson though. It's in
that's what were we gonna say?
Do they end up in a cave?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
where they do the foreshadowing of that we can bring people back from the dead because of that snake thing.
But the snake
where she,
isn't
like,
dead,
heals.
right?
But
She just
well, Ray.
Oh, this
like,
is when
heals.
force healing.
Yeah,
becomes a
becomes
thing.
a thing. Yeah.
We already knew that was a thing because of the Mandalorian.
Well, but the Mandalorian came out after this. Wow, you just ruined it for.
No, the Mandalorian came out before this.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Like the last episode came out the week that this came out.
That's right.
Because they were like, oh, it's going to tie in.
I remember that. Yeah.
It didn't.
I think I texted you about that. I was like, they're gonna try to tie it in. And
Yeah.
then
So the
finale
book
was
I
after
keep
that.
referencing is, I can't even remember it now. I literally just had it. Now I can't. Just so if you guys want to read it too.
Yeah, this was like they're in the cave and they stumble onto that snake thing. And then there's like a speeder down there. All these shiny things trying to show the way.
So the book is called Resistance Reborn. And so that book takes place between The Last Jedi and this movie.
Is it canon?
Yeah.
Did you tweet Pablo Hidalgo to make sure?
No, it's just, never mind. But yeah, that's where all the stuff with like Poe and Finn is in there. Snap Wexley being related to Wedge Antilles is in there. That stupid
Yes.
dagger.
Yep.
The Goonies dagger.
That well, once they do it again, I need to like stop myself. Because it's just ridiculous. Still engaged in the movie at this point, in the theater.
This part was where I started losing it.
Really?
Where he's like, oh, I know what it says. I just can't tell you
Yeah.
because I'm not evil.
See, and that part had so much potential. I remember watching the trailer and I was like, wow, C-3PO is going to have like some shit go down for once. Like,
Yeah, I was kind of hoping. Sorry, but I was kind of hoping that he wasn't going to come back.
yeah. Just adds drama. You need, I think one of the reasons why like Empire Strikes Back is so loved by everyone is because it's the most fucked up one out of that trilogy where like everything goes wrong. Your heroes are in despair and then you get them out of it in the next movie. And that's as much as human beings don't, I feel like human beings, like we say like we don't like suffering, but yet we gravitate to those stories for whatever reason.
Because they're better.
Yeah, it's just it's not, it's like life. It's not easy. So would you say this is like a distant cousin to the in Empire? Where like this is no cave.
The giant sandworm?
Yes.
No.
No?
I don't know. This one looks more like a snake.
But I mean it's
Just like a big snake.
in the sand and it's like
I guess so.
underground.
Maybe.
Could be like a relative. So intense. And that's the thing is like I don't even have an issue with like that she has this capability. Like I know some people were like that's the thing that sort of drives me crazy is like people complaining like, well, Jedi's never done that before, but like if you look in the original trilogy where Luke is battling Darth for the first time, he does like a Superman out of that the thing. Like literally like flies in the air.
I don't remember.
When Darth says all too easy and he's like in that pit.
Oh, yeah.
And he literally like flies
Yeah,
out of there.
that's
And
right.
No one was like, the
Like a
Jedi
big
can't do
Jedi
that.
jump?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which Kylo Ren does in this movie later, too.
Really?
Mhm.
I don't remember that.
It's like towards the end, he just does this like gigantic jump.
Uh-huh. This is the beginning of the end. Which, like, I remember the teaser of this the teaser trailer, I had such high hopes.
Yeah, that trailer was really good.
It was badass. And so I was like, man, if this is like even 40% of what the movie's gonna be, like it's gonna be good. And then it wasn't. What do you think of the wardrobe, the costuming?
I think it's good. I like that they gave Poe like Nathan Drake, Brendan Fraser in The Mummy
Mm-hmm.
adventurer chic look.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. And then Poe's is a lot more casual too. Where I think he's
Yeah.
wearing a vest instead of a jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And then Rey's is whatever.
You don't
My
like
favorite,
it?
no, my favorite Rey is the gray one from the end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I don't like
Mhm.
that they just kind of like wiped it all and made it white in this one. Like, I get it, but also it should be way more dirty than it is. She's been walking around sand and she went through that like quicksand.
They were literally underground a few minutes ago.
Yeah. She like healed like a dirty ass snake. And then I don't like that they made her hair into buns again. Like they should have given her a different hairdo.
Yeah. Here we go.
This is a really cool shot.
Yeah, it's a great sequence.
It's really cool.
And then right here you still have that connection between him and Rey. And here comes the bullshit. Okay, let's watch this. He's looking out. They got Chewie. They're putting him in that transport. Like I kind of almost don't want to blink because I feel like I totally missed it the first time. It was just like, just totally like Wild West.
Yeah.
Like, see, even without the sound, this sequence works so well.
Yeah, it
Like,
does.
you could feel it
still
building.
It's really cool.
And this is when she does the backflip.
At least she gets a running start.
That's true. See, like, why couldn't have just that been the whole movie?
The end.
Yeah. It's just her and Kylo duel it to the end and Kylo dies.
Yeah.
Which he does anyway, so.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, transport. We don't see which one took off.
Were there two?
There were two of them,
Okay,
but
cool.
it's still like,
Yeah. I didn't even see the other one this time either.
it's just the setup doesn't qualify the finale of like, psych, it's not the right one.
Yeah. And then also like, yeah, I know it would have, I think a lot of people would have been upset if Chewie had actually died. But I think it gives Rey's character so much more depth if he actually had.
Yeah.
Because then she would have all this guilt that she killed him.
I remember in the theater, I think most people thought Chewie had died.
Yeah, I thought he died.
I didn't. I'm like, this is a Disney
Like, I
film.
thought he died, but then I was like,
I was like, no way. There's no way that they killed him. It's just, he's too much of a beloved character, and just this is Disney now. Like, there's no way. But like you said, if it would have happened, it just creates more turmoil. It creates more, like, again, angst and depth and the stakes. Like that's like how you were saying, like, there's no real stakes in this movie.
right.
Because it all gets undone. It's like, it's sort of set up and like, holy shit, they're in trouble. And then something happens and they're out of it, And I forgot, I was reading this article when the movie came out about how when you're building sort of these like conflicts and stories, like good storytelling is using coincidence to get a character into a situation, but you don't use coincidence to get them in and out of a situation.
Yeah.
You use coincidence to get them in, but then you have the characters work them way out of it. You can't just be like, oh, they found this fucking thing in the sand and they're out of it and then like happily ever after. Like it doesn't, they're like, again, there's no stakes to it. It's just kind of, whatever.
Nope, it was me.
And another reason why I thought that Chewie, they wouldn't have killed Chewie is like, dude, you killed Han in the first one.
That's true.
There's no way that you're gonna kill his buddy.
And we knew that Leia was probably gonna die too.
Yeah. Which again led me to believe, I was like, people are gonna fucking die in this movie. But it never happened. What do you think of their relationship?
I get it. I don't think it's like, I don't know.
Oh, and there it is.
And then also the fact that they do it like the next scene, he comes back the next scene.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I get why they put General Pride in there. Because I guess Hux got demoted after The Last Jedi because of everything that happened. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much as like the addition of Zori bothered me. Because when I saw Zori the first time, I was like, oh man, this is going to be so rad. She has like this cool outfit. She kind of looks like a bounty hunter. And then the movie happened.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I totally missed it. So yeah, the moment I checked out was the whole Chewie debacle. When I was like, there's no way they killed them. And then they bring him back in the next scene. I was just like, game over.
About
Okay,
to open
I'm not...
a can. It might be loud. I'm sorry.
Oh, you should have done it some ASMR shit.
I was going to, but I didn't want to bother people that were listening. I'll do it the next one.
Okay. So they still have no idea that Chewie is alive.
I'm trying to remember when they find out.
Yeah, I don't remember. And then right back to back comes the second sort of moment where I'm just like, potentially has lots of dramatic effect because C-3PO is about to essentially have his whole memory erased. And you're talking about erasing years and years of memories.
I don't know if it's that outfit, but Poe looks like super beefy in this. Like I was just looking at the scene right now and I was like, he looks beefy. And
are you saying like
not like
swole
muscly,
beefy,
like
or,
beefy, like just beefy,
just like thick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought this was a good addition.
Yeah.
And my second, or maybe the best addition, is coming up soon.
Yeah.
Which he only gets like 3 minutes of screen time.
Right. And that's the voice of what was the name of it? The droid.
Dio?
Yeah. That's JJ, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like how he's very much about social distancing.
Yeah. And like, yeah, he was definitely ahead of his time. Or late in his time because this is supposedly a long time ago. Get it?
I get it.
And so now this is his drug planet, right? Where he...
The Spice Planet?
Yes.
Hold on. I
Where he
gotta
did
find these names.
Where he sold many drugs to many people.
Sure.
This is another good character, though, that I thought was sort of never really... They could have elaborated more on.
Oh,
or
Zori Bliss.
Yeah, Zori.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
it's like she's here and you could see their relationship and there's like the backstory and then she disappears and that doesn't come back till fucking everyone does.
So we're on Kijimi right now.
Okay. Were you surprised that like Poe was
A spice runner?
yes? Which I had to look up. I was like, what the fuck is
Okay, see, another thing you find out in the books,
Of course.
which is
I'm refilling my wine as you say this.
dumb. But so I found out about spice when I was reading the Princess Leia book Bloodline, because that's a major plot point in it, is that she's trying to stop all the illegal spice running, which spice is a drug, spice running throughout the galaxy. And she's trying to hunt down like all the cartels and stuff like that. So when they do mention spice, I was like, spice, Poe.
Do they specify what kind of drug it is?
No, it's just, I was running spice. That's it.
Oh.
It's just like a drug, you know?
Comments in the description, or not the description.
Yeah, if
Just
anyone
comment
knows.
if anyone knows what spice actually is.
I'm sure they explain it in some book that I haven't read yet. But yeah, when they mentioned that he was a spice runner, I thought it was kind of a cop out, because like in the comics,
Ooh.
you learn that Poe has always been a pilot. Like he's just always flown. His mom was a pilot. He was trained by Wedge Antilles in the academy. So it's just like, when did you decide that you needed to do
Right.
like to run spice, you know?
So do you think they did it to sort of give him like a bad boy look?
I think so. I think they were trying to make him like the new Han Solo or whatever.
Right.
And like that's kind of thing I was like, okay, you make the brown guy a drug dealer. Like
Ooh.
which I was talking to someone about it, and I was talking about how like of course they made the brown guy a drug dealer. And they were like, well, I mean, Han used to smuggle stuff. And I was like, yeah, but Han was always a smuggler. Like that's
Yeah.
just always what he did. It wasn't like, oh, Han was this, and all of a sudden you find out that he used to smuggle things. Like that's just like his thing. And that becomes a useful plot point in A New Hope, because they use the panels that he used to smuggle stuff in to smuggle themselves, which like that makes sense. But this, it's like they kind of just used it as an explanation. Oh, there's John Williams. They used it as an explanation for why Poe knows Zori, which I mean, they could have come up with a different, I don't know, like he was stationed on that planet and he met her. And
Oh,
they had
there he is.
Yeah. This is my favorite character in the movie.
By the way, all real, not CGI, right? He was like actually like a small puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like Baby Yoda. Yeah, I can't tell you how many people I talked to that thought that Baby Yoda was like completely CGI.
I mean, if I wasn't really super into anything about Star Wars, like the behind the scenes stuff, I would have thought he was CGI too.
Really?
Just because most of everything now
that's
is.
true. But yeah, back to John Williams, the best thing about every Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
By far.
Which is why I'm sad we don't have sound, because we can't hear the score.
Yeah, I know. Although I will say this, that he didn't have a very envious job in this one to sort of like, because to me, this movie specifically musically, you're trying to fit in all the themes to like every film, you know, in the franchise. And it's the choppiest sort of music out of any film, because again, that was his role, is just like, C-3PO's on screen, we got to show this theme, and then it's Leia, and then it's, you know, Luke's ghost and Han, and like it just, to me, it like what we were talking about, how like this film jumps around so much that musically it sounded like that to me.
See, and this is another one of those scenes where it's so heavy in the moment. And even in the trailer, I was just like, oh, fuck, you know? Even though like C-3PO has never really been one of my favorite characters, but it's still like heavy to hear.
Yeah, it starts giving you all the feels.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
then
it's
the
like,
payoff is fucking stupid. Like there's no, again, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's no stakes. It's
also
just,
like, doesn't 3PO have his memory wiped between the prequels and the New Hope trilogy?
didn't we have this conversation?
I think the only one that doesn't is R2. So then
Was it?
why are they all freaking out that like he's not going to get his memory back if he's, I mean, granted they don't know that, but C-3PO should, well, maybe C-3PO doesn't know it either.
Yeah.
I think I just answered my own question.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Distant explosions. So this is where they have their little moment. And again, another relationship that never really sort of pans out to anything. And then again, more objects.
Right.
Like, how many objects are we up to? The
Wayfinder,
Yeah.
dagger, fancy coin. What was that disk drive they had in the beginning? Did they use that already?
Maybe?
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, I'll count that as another one. 4. Right? Right?
Yes. Sure. I'm sure someone will correct us. And this is the only shot of her face. Nobody came. See, and so is this sort of like foreshadowing to what's going to happen at the end of this movie?
Yes, absolutely.
That basically they had this battle and no one came and now everyone's going to come. But yet,
For whatever reason.
Yeah. Oh, is this where he says,
Oh,
did he already say the line where he's like, don't get so close to me?
he says no, thank you.
Oh.
I think, and I think it's right when they first meet him because I think Ray tries to like touch him or something.
Mm-hmm. And there he is, lurking. And then he becomes evil now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can tell by his red eyes.
Oh, man. Like, I really wanted this to be like C-3PO's moment.
Yeah.
But it's just, oh, psych.
Also, like, how many planets have they gone to so far? We've been in Mustafar. We're in Kijimi. We were in that party planet.
Where was the planet that they left to go to the party
Hasana.
planet?
Oh, that like forest planet they were at?
Yeah. That was like Endor. Oh, this is where they realize that he's still alive.
Oh,
That
because
Chewie's still
Ray
alive.
like senses it, right?
Yep.
He must have been on a different transport.
Oh, look. C-3PO's back.
He's back.
Psych. Double psych right there within like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it must have been like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah. And that was the end of Babu Freak, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Or no, doesn't he come back with the rebels at the end? He's like on a ship
Is
or
he
something?
on the Falcon with Lando?
I don't remember. I think he comes back. Don't forget your coin, bud. Come with us. Can I kiss you? I forgot about that.
God.
Ba, 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 ba. I'm guessing
That's
that's
a
what
good
the music
theme.
is. I'm guessing that the music
That was
is
another
right there.
question I was going to ask is like, do you think that, or as far as you remember, are any of the themes in this movie new? You think?
I don't know. I would have to go back.
Let's see. Because in The Last Jedi, we had Rose's theme. That was the new one,
Yeah.
which was a good one.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to figure out if there was a new one in this one.
I mean, I feel like there has to be because there's always a new theme for every movie. But I if you were to tell me like to hum it or to point it out, I have no idea. Because again, it just seemed like it was like Star Wars potpourri. Just let's sprinkle all the themes and go to town.
So it looks like the jungle planet is called Ajan Kloss.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm probably not even saying that right, but so we got that planet. We have Pisana, Mustafar, Exegol, Kijimi. That's 5 planets.
Yeah.
And then they go to the Endor moon, right?
Right. But right
Unless
now
that one's Exegol.
they're on the ship.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but this is Poe's like first sort of view of that.
Mhm.
So he's like, what? Does Poe even know? Well, does Poe even know what the Force is? I mean, he has to because of Leia, right?
Yeah.
Or is he just like a non-believer?
Well,
Is that even discussed?
I don't think so, but also I don't think Leia would really just like show off her forceness
Really?
around like Poe or any of them really, because she doesn't really need it other than like her sensing things, you know?
Mhm. But he was witness to in Last Jedi, right?
Yeah. When she like comes back.
Right. And we're reunited. He's like, yeah, bro, I was on the other ship. What's wrong with you?
Didn't you see me? I was waving.
For that like 5-second shot of the other ship? How many people have you talked to about this movie that like loved it? Or thought that it was good?
Well, when I first discussed it with the other members of the Galactic Coven,
Oh, name drop.
name drop.
Do you want to talk about them really quick?
Yeah, so I have a group of
This is a cool sort of track.
of Star Wars fans that we kind of met on Instagram on like a group chat talking about The Mandalorian. And eventually we grew to 22 members. And so you can find us on Instagram at Galactic Coven. Let me just make sure it's not underscore. But yeah, that's our handle. And so basically what we do is we've just kind of started posting stuff about, is someone else dead?
No, but he's like, Poe.
Boyfriend.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've started posting stuff about just things that excite us about the Star Wars universe. Because most of us in the group are female, but we also have non-binary folks in there. So it's kind of just a different side of Star Wars that people get to see, which is kind of nice because like for me growing up, I didn't really have any girlfriends that were Star Wars fans. So it was kind of weird to always just kind of be in a male dominated fandom, especially most recently because of a lot of things with Star Wars. Kind of like the females in the fandom have kind of been through a lot. So you can find us at galactic_coven. So going back to what we were talking about, people liking The Rise of Skywalker. When I first saw the movie, they were like the first people that I wanted to talk to about it, just to kind of get a sense of what they thought. And there were a few of them that were like, I liked it. It was great. Like, it was a lot of fun. There was a few that went to see it like several times. I think the most someone saw it was like 4 times in the theater. But then again, the more we talked about it, the more kind of everyone just like hated it. And like, maybe if they didn't hate it, they just disliked a lot more about it than they thought they did at first.
Mhm.
So I haven't really talked to someone that like genuinely liked it, even when they think back on it.
Mm-hmm. So getting back up to speed a little bit with the film, now they've swapped places, right? Because Kylo is where they were.
Yes,
And now
they're on
Rey
the
is
ship. So
where-
Rey's in his room,
Right.
touching his things.
And see, that's the other thing too, is like, I'd love the sort of the Force sort of connecting them together. But it's sort of not done in a cool way. And then like this part, it was just like, what? So now you can actually physically be, oh, look.
Yeah, so not only, hey, it's
Cameo.
Villanelle. So not only are they like force connecting, but now they're in the same room. And now, as far as it seems to me, Kylo's kind of making her remember these things.
Oh, is that like,
well,
from-
because he's like, yeah, you do like see them.
yeah.
So it kind of, at least to me, it feels like he's like implanting these memories that I'm guessing maybe Palpatine told Kylo about.
Mm,
But this sequence is really
Interesting.
cool because you go back and forth between Kijimi and Kylo's quarters.
yeah. Like, I'm not against that power, but I feel like sometimes the way that it's sort of used, I don't know, it feels like it's a lot, like, or that it's sort of overused a little bit. But I do like the sequence where they sort of jump from place to place. And it's sort of like that shot right there where like half of the frame is like where Kylo is, and then to the left is Kylo's room. Isn't that your girl from your show?
Yeah, Killing Eve. What?
That was a cool shot, I remember, in the trailer.
Oh God, I remember slowing that down in the trailer and trying to figure out what it was.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people did that.
And then Rey, I think, has the dagger, and yeah, she has the dagger in that shot too.
Yeah.
So that was something a lot of people were talking about with the trailer too. They were like, "Why does she have a dagger, and what is it?"
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell her already
What?
that she's?
Oh. I don't know.
I think he might have said granddaughter, and then he's like, "I'll come tell you."
Yeah. You definitely tease it.
This part actually got some pretty big cheers in the theater. I don't know why, but it did.
This is another goofy, like, I can't even watch it without
hear
like
it too, especially when he
yeah.
goes, "What?" Like, that's another disappointment to me was what they did to Hux's character. Because like when you go back and you watch, I think even if you watch Hux in The Last Jedi and then you watch Hux in The Force Awakens, like it's two completely different characters.
Oh yeah.
Like he's so evil in The Force Awakens, and I think that works really well. And like even in The Last Jedi, like he gets his dick kicked in by everyone, which is kind of funny, but like I thought maybe he could have had a little redemption in this movie as opposed to this.
Yeah, it's like how much time does he last being the spy and then fucking gets killed? See, to me, this is cool. That reasoning right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think that offered a little bit redemption for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, I don't care about the good guys.
Yeah. Like the reveal of it was whack that he was a spy, but the justification of why he was the spy, that to me makes like perfect sense. And I feel like that should have been explored a little bit more rather than just like a sentence of like, I just want to see Kylo lose. And like, I don't know, should have been a little bit more.
I think this is when he tells her.
Maybe. There it is. Dun dun dun.
I had no thoughts when this was uttered in the movie theater. I don't even think there was a reaction.
I don't think there was a reaction either. Because I think some people didn't know who Palpatine was. Or I think because like people know him as the Emperor more than Palpatine. And so I think if you would have said like maybe the Emperor.
No, everyone knows it's Palpatine.
You think so?
I think if they've gotten this far, they know who Palpatine is.
Okay. But I personally, I was already
also
not caring. So
movie is so like, blue.
Yeah.
Like that shot.
Well, isn't that the
like turn the blue
this is
down.
why we have our blue LEDs in the couch. And then it was in the poster and
but just like the back and forth between like she looks like a ghost there.
Yeah.
Like she looks like a Force ghost compared to Kylo. She just been dead the whole time?
Yes. Like Lost.
This is a cool shot when I don't even know what you just said.
I said like Lost, they were dead the whole time.
That shot, that's a really cool shot.
Because you know JJ.
Right.
Not ripping on Lost, like we actually love Lost.
Also, they weren't dead the whole time.
No, they weren't. And if you think that, then you didn't really watch the show. You just read things on message boards at the time.
There was a pretty good Jedi jump right there.
Yeah. Does he have a cane too?
Yeah, he just found a cane.
Wow. I don't think I remember that. And you're dead. Like, really? It's like the, I don't know. All the setups are bad, and then all the quote unquote payoffs are just equally as bad. And now she's remembering, right?
Yeah.
Or do you think this is part of Kylo's implanted?
See, that's the thing. I hadn't even thought about that until I saw it right now.
Uh-huh.
Just so, and I'm not even watching it with sound. So maybe with sound, it would be more evident, like when he says it.
Yeah.
But he, like, he for sure implanted that part where he's like, yeah, you remember them, see them, and then she can see them. And maybe that kind of rustled up some other memories that she forgot she had.
Yeah. Some suppressed memories.
Yeah.
So that's the Emperor talking to him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So he's just straight up said, just kill my granddaughter.
Also, could you imagine what that would look like if you were like a stormtrooper walking up the hallway and it's just Kylo Ren like staring at a wall talking to it?
Where they do that same thing that they did in The Force Awakens?
What thing?
Where he's like throwing his little
Oh,
emo
yeah,
tantrum
yeah,
and like
yeah.
they just kind of like walk away.
Exactly.
So now that the Millennium Falcon crashed on that planet,
It crashed.
oh my God. And here's the okay. I've talked to both people that are actually in love with this film and not in love with this film. And the people that are in love with the film, when I start bringing up like, okay, there are remnants of the Death Star on this planet. Okay. From what we saw of the Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi, that thing got blowed up, like demolished.
Blowed.
And you're telling me that there's like huge chunks of the Death Star, like just randomly on this planet. And
That's
when I
a pretty
tell people,
fat chunk of the Death Star too.
and then right here, this whole, I need to line it up, and I'm searching. No, that's not it. And kind of
Also,
there.
okay, like Luke was looking for this thing in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, I'm
Yeah.
guessing, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's like 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus however many years happened between The Force Awakens and this movie. So there's like no way that all that debris would have stayed exactly the same from when this dagger was made. Because look at how like violent the ocean is.
Yep. And again, that thing got blowed up. And when I tell my friends that love the movie that they got destroyed, that's like the first moment they're like, oh, you know what? You're right. Like, how could that, like, and then just fast forwarding when, you know, the Emperor's chair is still there and like the interiors of the, like, what? And yeah, I digress.
Space Horses.
Yeah.
Good addition.
And I remember when the trailer came out, that was like a big
That
debacle.
was a really cool scene.
Yeah. But I feel like people were like 50-50 on it of like, how are there space horses and like, what are they doing riding on like Star Destroyers?
And not like flying off?
Yeah, exactly. Did they even mention that?
I don't think so.
For all the
Maybe they have like
logistical nerds out
weird
there?
grabby hooves or something. Zero gravity.
Right. Or no,
Horseshoes?
that's probably in the illustration.
It'll be in the novel,
Yeah.
the novelized version of this.
That would be an interesting read. Just to see like what, do you think Colin Trevorrow wrote that? Oh.
Doubt it. Oh, so you do. Okay. So you do find out that Jenna was a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
See, I missed that the first time around.
Oh.
Because I remember being like, oh, it would be so dope if she was a stormtrooper and she had escaped too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's their bonds, like, because they sort of go back and forth and like realize they sort of came from the same place.
Yeah.
But do you buy into the whole that she's somehow related to Lando? Or is that in the expanded universe?
I buy it.
Okay.
It's Lando.
I still don't know the whole Solo stuff
What about it?
and the ship and the robot.
Have you not seen it?
No, I have. I went to go see it with you, but I just don't. I need to watch it again because I feel like I missed a lot.
It makes
of that.
more sense the second time you watch it.
Okay. Double binoculars.
But yeah, when Lando and Jana have that conversation at the end of the movie, I don't know if it's just the way Billy D. Williams plays everything, but it does sound like he's coming on to her at first.
That's what I thought.
And then I was like, no, I think he means she's his daughter. And I was like, oh, that makes it weird.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of how he just talks naturally. I don't know. It was, I don't know.
The smoothness.
It's the Lando. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought when I first saw it. And then it wasn't until I don't know what I was watching or reading that people were like, oh no, it's that they're related and then potentially that it's like his daughter or something. I was like, what? I thought he was like totally hitting on her. Yes, what the hell was she thinking? See, like this whole Falcon crashing, totally missed that. Turmoil, conflict. See, I think too, like the whole contrast of Mustafar being volcano planet and then what is this planet?
Exegol.
Exegol being all water based.
It's like half water.
And half remnants of Death Star.
Yeah, also there's like a random TIE fighter there still.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. It's like there's like a lot left of what was the Death Star 2. What did she drop right there?
I think it just fell apart. Like whatever metal she's on just kind of fell off.
Thought she had like some backpack or something. Yeah, this is a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, like, there's all these like still hallways and we used to be doors like still intact, and I don't know. It's just personally, it's like a tough sell.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
And I mean, I know what they're trying to go for, like for sure, but it is just at the same time, it's just kind of like,
it's just, it seems so heavy handed because they're like, you have this big confrontation with Kylo and Rey, and then you're like, look where they're having the confrontation. Remember when this happened?
Yeah.
In that other movie? And it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. But again, it's another throwback. It's another callback to the previous trilogy, which is like, you know, I remember when I watched Force Awakens, I liked it when I saw it in theaters and then I rewatched it again and I was like, man, this is like callback city. Like there was just a lot of things that I like missed the first time. That I was like, oh wow, that's like back to A New Hope and like back to like Empire and Jedi and all that. And it's just like, it reminded me of watching Superman Returns, which was like the entire beginning of that movie. Like the opening credits is like legit, you know, of the original, but gasped softly. Oh, remember this?
I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. How many people couldn't shut up about this part?
Me. I was one of them.
What did you think was going to happen?
I thought fucking spiky teeth.
Yeah.
When I saw it in the trailer, I thought it was just gonna be like a vision,
That's what I
like the
thought
one that
too.
Luke has in Return of the Jedi, which is exactly what happens because she's like Luke is in a cave and she's kind of in a little cave, like it's super dark in that room, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought it was gonna be, or just I thought it had to have been some sort of vision.
Right. That's what I thought too. And I know a lot of people were like wishful thinking. I'm like, no, there's what I thought, I was like, maybe there's an alternate Rey out there. And it's just, but in physical form, that it wasn't just like a manifestation or like a mental image of her bad self. But it's just, and literally how long was that sequence? Like
10
20
seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
They could have just they could have paired it with the Mandalorian and been like, because there's like a theory floating around that Palpatine is trying to get the baby Yoda to clone his blood or to clone him, basically. Because in the first few episodes of The Mandalorian, one of the like doctors that checks baby Yoda has like the Kaminoan symbol on his jacket, and the Kaminoans are cloners.
Uh-huh.
So like, what if Palpatine got baby Yoda, made a clone of his granddaughter, except he did it right this time and she became evil?
Wow.
And that was who Rey found on Exegol. She's just chilling there the whole time waiting for her.
Jesus. More explanations.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So how long into the movie is their first clash?
Kylo and Rey.
Yeah.
Well, it's when they're on that with the party planet, right? Or are you talking about this specifically?
No, I'm talking about this moment where
Oh.
it's not being like force imagery, where they're actually like, oh, he's like, no, I got this.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
This is probably like an hour in, I think.
Yeah.
There's that Jedi jump.
Yep. Insert lightsaber sounds.
Like, what is Finn gonna do
Well,
when he
if-
gets over there?
if you are the he's actually has Jedi powers fan base,
Which he does.
he
They
could
said
do
he did.
potentially a lot.
Well, that's true. He did fight Kylo with a lightsaber in The Force Awakens.
Yeah. And that's, what do you think about that? Do you think that the original plan for him was that through these 3 new movies that he would have Jedi powers? Or was that another thing that
think
was sort of
they
wasted?
Certainly marketed it that way,
Yeah.
but you can also go the route at saying, well, the reason they marketed it that way is so that it would be digestible for Star Wars fans. Because Star Wars fans weren't going to be okay with Rey holding the lightsaber in all the promo pictures
Yeah.
because she's a woman.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's why they did that in the beginning.
Mhm.
Because then you have those scenes in the trailer of Finn holding the saber, and you don't have any scenes in the trailer, I don't think, of Rey holding a saber. Do you? In The Force Awakens? Like maybe when she finds it?
I don't remember, but I think you're right, though.
I just
think-
remember the one of Finn in the snow.
Yeah.
That's like the only one I remember.
Yeah. And even after watching it, I remember it didn't feel like this was like Rey's story. It felt like,
No, because it starts with Finn
yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
so it was sort of, I remember at the end of Force Awakens that it was sort of up in the air of like, well, who's really a Jedi?
So they could have maybe they just put the movie out and were like, we'll see who people identify with the most.
Yeah.
And then from there, they kind of went with the next one.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I could see them doing that. And just in, Oh, so this is like, this was the moment where I was like, yes, like it's happening. Like the idea of like someone dying that's important is finally going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it gets completely fucking ruined. This part actually, like, cause I was already over it. And this part I was like stoked. I
Brought
was
you back.
like, it brought me back for like 5 seconds.
You
And
know,
then
if the
just, like-
movie had just ended like that,
Yep.
that would have been fine.
Yep.
And
But
then she gets the holocron thingy and they go to do the thingy and they save the thingy and that's it.
now right now she's thinking my snake friend that I healed.
This is my snake person.
Yes. Yeah. I gotta focus on that. But yeah, going back to what we were talking about Force Awakens, I think but that's sort of like classic JJ of like, whether it was him or whether it was Kathleen Kennedy or Bob Iger or whatever, of sort of setting these things up and then, okay, whoever's next will figure it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it never really, it felt like everything was always like in limbo and never really sort of settled, I guess, in my perspective.
He looks all puffy.
Well, he was like essentially dead.
That's true.
And now she's like, what have I done? I should have
She's
just
like,
let
I
him
know
die.
this is going to come back and bite me in the ass.
Yep. But we still have like an hour and 45 minutes of movie left.
Because hold on.
What?
She still has a holocron at this point, right? Or did he crush it already?
No, I think she still has it.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. Why does Leia die? Is it the idea of that so much force was used to bring
Yes.
her son back?
Yeah, kind of like how Luke goes in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Except that I would imagine that it would take a harder toll on Leia because I don't think she was used to doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
And so I guess with bringing Kylo back, so Rey and Leia collaborated, essentially? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, I think as soon as she stabbed Kylo, she got the thing from...
Yeah, because they start sort
Rey.
of going back and forth. Where like Leia doesn't start feeling well and then she has to lay down and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Maz says that that's what she's going to do, that's what she has to do.
Yeah. Here we go.
I didn't see this coming.
I didn't see it coming like this, but I knew he was going to be back.
I did not know.
I think I even told you, I was like, he's going to... Because I remember he was at the premiere and that was like, dude, he's going to be in this movie. There's no way that he's not going to be in this movie.
I remember looking at my Apple Watch when this happened and my heart rate was at like 130.
Really?
It was like the most excited I was in the whole movie.
And what was people's explanation? Because it was like,
Because
he's not a force ghost.
Yeah, he says he's just a memory. So he's like, essentially, he's his conscience.
Yeah. And I guess coming back from being dead will do that to you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like you have Luke that died for him. Well, Han that died for him first. You have Luke that died for him second. And you have Leia that died for him. And it's just like...
And then they all die.
Yeah, it's just like, why?
All the Skywalkers die.
Why did we do this?
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. It's It's like everyone like sacrifices their life and then he just ends up dying anyways. Sobbing silently.
Bonk.
And then this is when he changes out of his cloak and then puts on like,
A thermal.
yes, and like sweatpants.
They should have totally given him a better outfit. I don't.
Why? You have like unlimited, but well, not unlimited budget, but like millions of dollars, and like
I know.
it's just like, can we come up with something
Like,
better,
this'll
guys?
do.
Yeah, it's like our iconic villain, and we're just like,
I saw a meme where it was like Padme and she has like her head in her hands and she's like Padme when she sees her grandson show up in a thermal and pants at the end of the movie.
my God. Boom. Oh. There it is. Yeah, and this was another thing, right? Where that planet gets blown up and then you think, oh man, like Poe's girlfriend
Yeah.
got blowed up just like the Death Star. And then somehow, apparently, no one ever dies. right?
Somehow she returns.
Yes. Of course, they have planet killing weapons.
Wouldn't be a Star Wars movie if they didn't.
Yep.
Oh, and look, there's Rose in her second scene in the entire movie, and it's been an hour and a half.
The final order begins. It's like, Poe, what do we do?
Blow it up.
Yep. Dude, but you did. You knew how to do it in Last Jedi when you were trying to fucking overthrow everything. Do you think Lando, that's the same shirt?
No, I don't. He's like, that's not
We
helpful.
didn't win.
It's not helpful.
It went back to the same
look
shit.
at us. Look at where we are. Look at what we're
We
doing.
didn't win. I don't think I remember that scene.
Are you talking about Rey?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was like, Dio never met Leia.
And now they're kissing and making up.
Nah,
minus
it's
the
time to be
kissing.
space boyfriends again. With our small cone son.
Exhale sharply.
Wait, so does Poe know that it's Rey at this point?
I don't know. See, this is another like part where it's just like, what's
Why is
happening?
she burning?
And they're back to Luke's island, right?
Why is the TIE fighter there?
I don't know. Oh, here we go.
Oh my God. See, that looks terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I take back what I said about the visual effects in this movie.
Ugh. Oh, God.
Okay, how many people out there think that was a direct jab at Ryan Johnson?
Me.
I second that. There's no one that can convince me otherwise that was not a direct jab, as much as everyone else denies
Also,
it.
it totally looks like they're back on the island, but why is the TIE fighter there?
I don't know.
If I missed something, let me know.
Comments
that I'm
below.
being dumb. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, this doesn't even look like they shot on the island. It feels like it's sort of.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
We took background shots of Last Jedi and then we just green screened Daisy Ridley in front.
God.
This totally feels like a reshoot. Like it's like we
Yeah.
need to undo more of The Last Jedi, and so we need to come up with this scene.
And there will be porgs there.
Yep. By the way, if people didn't know, like people that were like, I hate porgs, like porgs are dumb. The reason porgs exist is because of a logistical thing, because on that actual island in real life, there's these birds that they couldn't get rid of. And so like anytime they would shoot like on the actual island, there was no way it would cost too much money to Photoshop all those birds out. So they just had to write in insert bird. And that's how porgs came to be.
Okay, so that's Leia's saber,
Yes.
which is a dope saber, by the
Yeah,
way. It's
it's
like
an awesome
rose
saber.
gold, super classy.
Yeah.
This was a cool scene too.
Yeah.
I appreciated that they added this in here.
Yep.
This is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie because it was what I always wanted to see after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. And
Or
it's,
it was something I wondered. I was like, did she ever train? You know?
yeah. But wasn't that talked about in like in the expanded universe and like
Yeah, but that doesn't
Legends and
matter
all that?
anymore.
Well, yeah. So they're in Luke's hut or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why? If this was part of the plan, why didn't
Oh,
you?
she took she took the TIE fighter. She took Kylo's TIE fighter to the island and she's burning it.
Oh.
And that's why she takes his X-Wing. That's all probably stinky and disgusting and shouldn't even work, but
Okay.
that's besides the point.
Yeah.
How did
So
she not get the
somehow-
holocron before it burned? That thing
Yeah,
was in flames.
I was just gonna say, wasn't it just
it
like
was completely engulfed
completely
in
on
flames.
fire? And somehow it survived.
Somehow.
But then we got to tie it back to Empire and Yoda.
The stinky
Again,
X-Wing.
and that's the thing. It's like, I feel like all the plot devices are to throw it back to something that we've already seen rather than to just like, hey, let's write a cool story. And if it connects, well, I mean, yeah, it has to connect, but it doesn't have to be a callback to like a moment. It could just be whatever it needs to be. And because this is supposed to be Rey's story. And so it doesn't have to follow anything that came before. It just has to be her own. It's just, and that's why to me her character never really is fully realized because it's has all this baggage and attachment to like shit that already happened.
She didn't even need to have all that attachment.
Yeah.
Like they already tried so hard to establish it in The Last Jedi, the fact that she's literally nobody.
Let the
And
past
she
die.
comes from nowhere and all this talk about letting the past die. And even in this movie, like I think Luke mentioned it that like your blood doesn't define you and like just stuff like that, you know? I'm angry about
Mistress Rey.
that. Seems weird.
Yeah. I definitely don't remember that.
Why not call her like Lady Ray?
Yeah. Or not.
Or just
anything
Rey.
Like Mistress Rey. Yeah. That's like a fancy battleship machine.
Yeah.
So another message from Luke that got scrambled.
It's his X-Wing.
Now they know that it's Rey.
So she's using the Wayfinder now, right?
Finally.
Okay. Time to party.
And this is when supposedly everyone comes together.
Yeah. No. Because there's a moment where they're like, I think it's a moment where they're like, oh, we don't have enough ship power. And then like everyone shows up.
More gatherings.
Always need to gather.
Yep.
Gotta blow something up.
And we have to have a ground team. How many meetings have they had at this point?
I think 3.
Yeah. Speaks alien. So essentially, yeah, it's just hoping that people will show up, right?
Yeah.
There's no real set plan besides their crew right here. And then you're just hoping that massive amounts of rebel forces are going to,
Right.
which is what they were trying to do in Last Jedi too, right?
Yeah, but nobody showed
But
up.
no one showed up. Oh, there was that moment right there.
They're just hugging.
Yeah, but it leads up to,
Was that them? That's
yeah,
what
I
was gonna
think it
ask.
was.
Okay, cool.
I think it totally was them. But again, it's like, if you blink, you miss it.
Yeah, that's why
It was
when it
just like-
happened, like at the end, I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
was kind of out of nowhere.
Yep. But we'll talk more about that later. It's a big ship.
Yeah.
See, and at this point, you would think the stakes are at the, again, bringing that point up. But you think the stake are at their highest, and like, but nothing's really happened so far in the story that would lead you to believe that anyone's risking anything, because
No,
everyone's
because
come back.
Look at all the people they have
Yeah.
versus like at the end of The Last Jedi, you had like 20 people in the Millennium Falcon and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I get that it probably wouldn't have made for cool looking group chat scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But if it had just been those 20 people trying to defeat the Final Order, like that would have been a lot more impressive.
Yeah. And then you counter that with, you know, the Empire and like, how many fucking ships?
Just like overkill of ships.
Like, even if all the rebels in the universe came out with seeing all those Star Destroyers, they would have been done. Like, there would have been no hope. And yeah, at this point, I remember watching the movie and I was just like, I don't really feel sort of.
It doesn't feel like a final battle.
Yeah, I feel like no one's really risking anything. And it's sort of just, you know, things, of course, will work out for the good guys because that's Star Wars. And so it didn't really feel like anyone sort of, you know, taking a chance, or there's going to be us doing this is going to cause us to sort of, you know, lose or potentially, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
have
if
a lot
I
of
was
people
on one
die.
of those ships, if I was on one of those ships and I saw that entire fleet,
Yeah,
I'd
like
be
this
like, well,
this isn't even all the rebels, right?
it's been cool knowing you.
And it's like you're like, it's like what was it called, the kamikaze mission? You know,
Yeah.
like suicide mission.
No, this is all of them.
Yeah, but this isn't before the big fleet comes in,
Right.
So it's just like, fuck, man. There's
I'd
all
be
these
like,
Star
well, I'm gonna
Destroyers.
go home.
I'm just gonna crash
Oops.
into it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Huh, Vinny? Vinny's not into it. And so this is where the Emperor is, right?
Yeah. And like his weird Sith concert.
Yeah. Isn't that another part that's in like the illustrated history
Yeah,
that it
it's
explains like
it
who they
says
were?
that they're like kids of the Sith that were something like that. Like Because when I watched it, I was like, are these all projections? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But I guess they are real, and they were just, I don't know.
Yeah. See, and that's another thing is like, why would you leave it up to the book? It's like it needs to be explained or at least hinted at in the film
Yeah.
because ultimately this is what most people have been waiting for fucking 40 years. Like to leave it into like a little bio in a book is just, I don't know.
saw a tweet that was, I think I don't think it was the official Star Wars website, but it was one of like the offshoot ones that is like official but not official. And it was like, did you know that the crowd on Exegol is like the Sith, whatever the explanation was? And I think like Elijah Wood retweeted it and was like, no, because you didn't tell us that in the movie. Like it was like something like that.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. So they're landing on the Star Destroyers. And then the horses come out, right?
Yeah. They're the ground team.
Yeah. And that's pretty funny. The ground team in the middle of space.
Yeah.
Wild. I never thought I would see this in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. And also they're also running on top of the ships, right?
Yeah. Where's their oxygen? Like I'm if we're missing something, please comment below because it's maybe we missed it in, like I said, we're not watching it with audio, but I don't remember anyone saying like, oh, we have this force field that's providing oxygen. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of like another Star Wars movie where they walk on top of a ship. I can't really think of one. Like there's an Attack of the Clones where Obi-Wan is like hanging off of Jango Fett's ship.
Yeah.
But he's like hanging off of it. He's not like walking on it.
Yeah.
Random crowd of people that's just been waiting.
And didn't the description just say that they were like alien in
yeah, it's
alien
an alien
language?
dialect.
Yeah. So it's like, what?
Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
Chanting stops.
What do I even look up? Exegol people?
I guess.
Exegol is a really cool name for a planet.
Yeah. Yeah, and anyone that says that this was all part of the plan to have the Emperor come back in the third movie, bullshit.
You're a liar.
You're full of it.
They are a group of Sith cultists who wish to see the dark force-wielding faction return to power in the galaxy. So they are called the Sith Eternal. So they're just Sith fanboys.
Does it say if they are alive or dead or?
It just says that they were brought together to help the Emperor rise again. They built shipyards on Exegol. Oh, they've been constructing the fleet. They're the ones that built those millions of ships.
Okay.
Apparently.
So if they're not on the ship, then it's.
Yeah, so who's driving them?
Yeah, it's just more Empire
Unless like
peeps.
he really has that many cultists. I doubt it.
It's a lot of cultists. Yeah, like it literally looks like them being on the ship is just looks like it's like on a planet.
Yeah. I hadn't even really thought about it until this time around.
Yeah.
Where I was like, you can literally see all the other ships like just hanging around.
Yeah. And then just like, you know, bow and arrow, old school style. Does Chewie ever have the crossbow here? I don't remember ever seeing it.
Doesn't 3PO have it at one point? Because I remember in the posters he has it, right?
Yeah. But I don't remember seeing that in the movie. I remember in the poster. Lens flare alert.
Oh, there's been quite a few.
Yeah. That should have been a drinking game.
You know,
It's like
I
every
haven't
time there was
seen
a
any split diopters.
no. I don't think there are any in like Star Wars.
I don't think so either.
If you know what a split diopter is, 1,000 points to you. Oh, where's the like 5-second shot of
Oh, he's coming. It's when the rest of the fleet joins them.
yeah, that's right. That was another bummer surprise.
Yeah, that was real sad.
Ooh. Like your parents. You're supposed to be nobody. Or oh, my bad, it was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's daughter.
That's right.
Yeah. That it's the
At this point, I would have rather have had that happen.
it was Obi-Wan's and Padme's daughter.
That's right.
But then she would have been like
But then she would have been related to Ben.
wailed.
Yeah. That would have made her Ben's aunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ew. This is another callback to Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
And I mean, they already did this in The Last Jedi too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's that moment where
like in The Last
Snoke
Jedi,
is
it's exactly like in,
yep.
you know,
And then these do you know the names of these guys? The all red dudes?
Pyro troopers? I don't know. I have no idea. This I don't know.
X-Wing. Oh.
Ben!
In his workout clothes.
This also didn't really get a reaction in the theater when we saw it.
No. There was just a lot of shit that happened in this movie.
I've seen this scene synced up to I Need a Hero so many times that this is the only thing I hear right now when I'm watching this scene. It works really well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the only line that Ben says is ow.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty funny.
And then also like the Knights of Ren, right? Have been gone. And then all of a sudden are going to reappear now.
They just
right?
show up and they're going to kick his ass.
Yeah. The ritual begins. It says disciples chanting.
Cultists, disciples, whatever.
There they are.
How did they? Oh, well, I guess I know how they got there, but
there's no attachment to them because we don't know who, like, they've been described who they are. But at the same time, if there had been some backstory or description of that these were Kylo's like homies or
so,
like
in The Last Jedi, when Luke is talking about how Kylo like leaves and burns down the temple, Luke says that Ben took a few of the kids with him. So then we're kind of meant to believe that those became the Knights of Ren. But then in the Kylo Ren comic, I think they're already there before Ben even becomes Kylo Ren.
Okay.
And then I read somewhere else that the Knights don't even know that Kylo Ren is Ben. That he's just Kylo Ren to them. Like they've never seen him out of his mask or whatever. So,
but again, it doesn't really answer my question of like, who are they? Like, there's no specificness to it. Like, and so it's just like how, you're not really feeling anything. Yeah, they're like bad guys, but I mean, it could be just generic bad guy. That was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool pass.
Yeah. And that's the Leia saber, right?
Right.
Yeah, lots of silence because we're just watching.
Cool.
And make a. Oh, my bad.
See, this part's cool. You're like, cool, they're going to do a thing. And then Ben just gets tossed. And you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that sucked. Your bond, it's so strong.
And then this is where I thought, like, oh, it's really Snoke.
He's like, psych,
Yeah,
it was me.
the whole time. And so right here, is he essentially taking the Force out of
Yeah,
them?
he's taking their life force.
Okay.
Because he says that both of them combined is enough to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
But then I guess,
Rip.
oh, was that Snap?
Yeah.
There he goes.
They're everywhere. Fuck yeah, they're everywhere. They've been everywhere like this whole like
They've been.
sequence. See, this is where I thought that Poe was going to reveal that he had Force powers. Because he's like, basically, no one's coming. And I thought he was going to close his eyes and like just like
Time to fuck shit up.
summon them through the Force and then.
And also, this is like way too many ships. Like, there's so many ships.
Yeah. You did it. Dude, that's a lot of worlds.
There he is. There he goes. That was it.
And that was it. Take your bow.
I know several people that were like, I didn't even see him in that. And
Yeah.
I was like, he was there. It was 2 seconds.
Yep.
He was there.
It's just people,
They have navies on Star Wars?
apparently.
The Navy. There was something else that I heard, I think in The Last Jedi. Oh, look, there she is.
Spice Run.
Oh, there's Babu.
Yeah, see?
Someone mentions the word cop in, I think, The Last Jedi or in The Force Awakens.
Really?
They're like, the cops are still coming. Oh, when they go to Canto Bight. They go to Canto Bight and Rose and Finn are getting in trouble because they parked their ship in the wrong spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how their whole plan gets fucked up when they meet Justin Theroux.
Wow.
And I think they mentioned, like, they go to jail and DJ helps them break out. And they're like, the cops are still coming. And I was like, that's weird to hear in a Star Wars movie.
Was that foreshadowing to 2020?
No. So how come Rey doesn't survive this, but Ben does?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Because he's with the dark.
Oh no, she
dark
does.
side?
Just kidding. She does come too. I forgot what.
No,
happens
she
next.
does, but
Yeah. Yeah, but
he's
then
like
he
the
still
first to
survives
respond.
that.
Yeah. More Thunderbolts. And now he's just taking the rebels out by himself.
Right.
Which is like, wouldn't that just take out all the rebels? Like, there's like no one left.
I don't think he has enough lightning for all of them.
Okay.
There was a lot of ships.
See, this is where I thought that I was going to get the ending that I had thought of,
Oh, yeah.
where Rey essentially dies and goes to Jedi heaven and sees everyone, sees Obi-Wan, sees Anakin, sees Yoda, every Jedi that's ever been a Jedi. And they have a kumbaya
it's
moment.
pretty close.
But she saves.
Well, you got Luminara, you got Mace, you got Anakin, you have Ahsoka, Ayla, you have all of them.
In my ending, she sacrificed herself to save the rebels and goes to Jedi heaven and all that and kills all the bad guys. But yeah, it didn't really happen that way. Instead, she, has a brief makeout session with Ben.
Dang, they got everyone in this. I remember when I first saw this, I was like having a hard time figuring out who was who.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm seeing it with the subtitles, now I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
that's who that was.
makes it clearer.
Yeah.
Lots of breathing heavily.
Finally, her outfit's dirty.
And then this is where you showed me that fan cut, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
So the fan cut I saw was this scene right here where you're seeing her, like her final battle with Palpatine. And it's kind of like what Manny was just saying about like the Force. Did you mention Force Ghost or you just said Jedi Heaven?
I just said Jedi.
Okay.
Jedi
So
Heaven.
in this scene where you see the flashes, like someone fan edited Luke's ghost behind her, Anakin's ghost behind her, Qui-Gon's ghost behind her, just kind of like pushing her forward. And then I think at the very end, when she pulls out right here, where she pulls out the other lightsaber, you see them all like reach their hands and they all kind of help her like push the lightning back, which is like was really cool when I saw it.
Yeah.
I can't remember where. I don't even have the link for it, but I'm sure if you look for it, you'll find it. But it was really cool the way they edited it that way. And it made for a better, I guess, more emotional scene.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's more emotionally impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, and this still is cool, because it's just her sort of,
Right.
pushing all this on the Emperor. But the whole idea was like that, that she's all that was left with the Jedi, and that basically she had all these Jedi's power, within her. More things getting blowed up.
Blowed up. Is that Pride?
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Ooh. See, that's what I wanted more of, but just everyone in general, just like
Dying?
yeah,
More dying?
more like just going down with your team and
Right.
not many people left, and just it creates this heaviness, like right here. Is the Falcon the one that gets him, or is it Poe?
I think it's the Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is the ship going down and they're just like it's a carnival ride?
I have no idea.
Does gravity work differently in the Star Wars universe? And I just
Yes.
didn't know.
Because you can drop bombs on
That's right. I forgot.
Star Destroyers.
Totally.
So at this point, Emperor's dead, right?
Yes. Oh, and this is Finn being like, "Oh, snap."
I am a Jedi. Or I should have been a Jedi, but they rewrote my character. Oh, he's back.
That's cool.
And at this point, like all the Empire cronies are dead, right?
Yeah, all the cultists.
The cultists, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just all lying in robes on the floor.
Yeah. So what, okay, before, I mean, it's tough to go back to before you saw this. What did you think
Or
was
I
going to
know
happen?
what I know.
Yes.
I thought that I don't even know. I don't know if I thought he was gonna bring her back
I didn't
right
think he was gonna bring
away.
her back.
I was like, ooh, I don't know. Especially because he just got like yeeted off of that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And he got like his life force taken from him a little bit. I thought it was just gonna be him and he was gonna be the last Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because that's not the name of the movie, but you know.
I thought that I had marked my bingo card because I told you, like, before we even saw trailer, I was like, Rey's gonna die.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, yes.
Right.
Out of like one thing, I got one thing right out of this movie. And then they, of course.
Which I would have been sad about because I really like Rey. Rey's like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Not so much in this movie, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, in predicting that, I saw it as like me being Disney, not what I would have done personally.
Yeah.
But I thought what they would have done.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll tell you that I didn't want this.
Yeah.
This I did not want.
Do you remember what you did when you saw this?
Yeah, I threw my purse on the ground.
And there was a loud thud in the theater.
This also, I think the reaction when this happened is everyone was just like, like, just kind of, like, I think I heard people like, what? Like, I don't think anyone really cheered.
No, there was, I think, a gasp.
Yeah.
I remember, or like a,
Yeah. Yeah. I think
like
that's
people,
more.
I don't think people knew how to react.
Yeah. But that's a whole other kind of worms that I don't think I want to open right now.
Yeah. And especially just the way that it plays out, because it's Rey's dead. She's not dead. And then he's dead. Like it happens in a way where you're just like, what?
Like you barely have time to process the person that recently died.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Yeah.
So that when like Ben dies, you could easily have been like, well, he's not dead. He's just going to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going back to the whole Chewbacca thing. You're setting up a theme in the movie where if you start doing that with characters, it's really hard to take seriously who's like, when is anyone really going to die?
Yeah. And I think that's what was really like all the Ben Solo fans. I think that's why that might be part of the reason why they were upset, because a lot of the people that wanted Ben redeemed were like, okay, he was redeemed and then he just died. Like,
yeah.
And I think part of that is what you were mentioning with all the fake outs before, where you had like, Chewie's dead, just kidding, he's not. And then C-3PO's dead, just kidding, he's not. And then Rey's dead, just kidding, she's not. And so it's just kind of like when Ben died, I'm sure a lot of the people that were rooting for his redemption were like, oh, he has to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard to sort of, oh, look, Ewoks. It's just hard to have an emotional attachment to something where you feel like you're just going to be played with, you know?
Right.
Where there's no definitive, like, they're dead or like this happened and that's it. and there's just questioning. There's just no real resolution with these characters, one way or the other. This is where I thought that things would happen.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But it's like,
Yeah, like
see,
this
it's
moment
like,
is so like I think he wasn't looking at sorry, he was
yeah, but let's hug a alien dude because there's no one else to hug. Oh,
Yay. No, that wasn't them earlier then.
are you sure?
No, the blonde girl was in The Last Jedi. She's the one that talks about Leia being like in
Oh.
a coma.
Okay.
People did cheer for that in the theater.
Yeah,
though.
they did.
Yeah.
And good for you if you're one of those that had been holding out this whole time and just like, Chewie should have gotten an award. I'm not gonna. Personally, I didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But if you were there, you got your moment. Man, Luke's X-wing has been through some shit.
But it looks great and it still works for some reason.
Wow, Lando looks really bummed. Even though he just saved the world again.
But he's lost everyone.
Or not the world, the galaxy.
Star Wars world.
See, look at the look though. That's what sort of like.
Yeah, and just like the way he says,
Mhm.
well, let's find out is kind of like,
We remember you. We did it. We made 3 Star Wars movies.
we're done, you guys.
We don't have to
do
make
this.
another one ever again.
Not sure why Poe's like so into that hug with Rey because they like barely even know each other.
Yeah. And they were like fighting half the time.
Yeah. Poe's just like, my boyfriend loves this girl, so I will also love this girl.
I will support him.
Yeah.
Oh, and then even this ending too.
It should have just ended after that.
Or like just force ghost the shit out of the ending. Like just have everyone.
Just butt tons of ships, butt tons of. Also, why did Poe just let Rey take BB-8 with her? BB-8 is like Poe's baby,
Right? His second in command.
Right.
Yeah. Get it? She's sliding down like
Get
in
it.
Force Awakens.
She could have walked. It's not that steep.
True. Do you think this was the original set?
I think so because it's a hotel now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know why she does this.
Because you're setting up the next trilogy.
She should have just gone back to Canto Bight and given him to Broom Boy.
Or just giving them to Nas.
What?
Is that her name?
Who?
Maz.
Oh, yes.
Because that's where she found Luke's.
That's right.
Yeah.
Have her keep them.
Yep.
For Broom Boy.
And then she could restart another bar and do it with Room Boy. And be like, now's not the time to talk about where I got these. Oh, so what's the significance of like the yellow lightsaber? Wasn't there something? That there's been like only one other person to have one? Or something?
Yeah. I don't know. I knew this once upon a time, and now I don't. So I feel dumb.
Wait for it.
Even that looks terrible.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. And then the sons, I was like, that's
But she's a Skywalker now. Get it?
no.
Oh man, we made it. We made it. See, Colin Trevorrow did get some credit.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's wrap it up. What are your any final thoughts?
It was good to watch it again so that I could like put my thoughts into the movie. Because after I saw the movie the first time, I had all these thoughts. Like a lot of them I did mention in this watch through. And it was just interesting to see it again after thinking what I thought about the way it should have gone the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Probably doesn't make sense. But it was easier to put them together while watching the movie. And I still didn't like it. So, I think that was
did not change.
Yeah, that was the big question before we started watching the movie is, will I like it more this time? And I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Personally, I still feel like it's kind of all over the place. And again, not to, repeat myself, but none of it really feels like the characters were risking a lot, because again, nothing was really, people would come back, no one really died, minus the bad guys. And so it was just one of those things where like anytime the good guys were in peril, they would somehow get out of it. And I know that's like a lot of stories because obviously the good guys always win, but there needs to be some kind of casualties. Like there needs to be like in, Last Jedi, the Laura Dern's character literally like self-sacrifices and like, light speeds through a fucking ship.
And you only meet her like 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
And that's still a pretty
significant
loss. Death. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's like if you were to have a character that was part of 3 movies or 2 movies and have them, self-sacrifice or just sort of, die for the good of the cause, it just creates an emotional, impact that when nothing really bad happens to the good guys is just sort of like, oh, all right, whatever, we already knew where this was going and just like, great. But it just there's no lasting impact there. And to rewatch it again, like you were saying, since watching it in the movie theater, that scene with Chewbacca, it's still weird to me. Like it's still, yeah, I get there's 2 cruisers there, but it's so fast and also Kylo's there and like there's a lot of things happening where it's not as obvious, I think, as like some people make it out to be. It was like, dude, like it was the other shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Particularly with that scene, there was a lot of people that were like, there were 2 ships. You didn't see the other ship. And I was like, no, because it happened way too fast. Like even this time I didn't see the other ship.
Yeah.
I was just so focused on Chewie going into the other ship.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize that there was another transport there.
And the fact that you do have to watch it multiple times to get it, like that doesn't bode well for the story. Like, I know repeatability in movies is a great thing, but for the good reasons, not to be like, oh, I felt like I missed something by not blinking.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't have blinked there because it was that fast. Like I don't know. And so, yeah, this movie for me was the first Star Wars movie where I did feel the presence of Disney, where it did feel like whoever was really making the final decisions, whether it was Bob Iger, Kathleen Kennedy, JJ, whether JJ was restricted somehow and they told him, you can only do this, you got to take this out. this was the first Star Wars movie that felt like there were bigger powers at hand that were controlling how this movie was going to come out. And that's the thing that I didn't like about it, that it felt like, you know, where before, you know, they gave Rian Johnson carte blanche to write it and direct it, and it felt like they just sort of let him go. And then even Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams and his name is escaping me, that co-wrote it, that wrote Empire. Lawrence Kasdan, yes. Where at least you had that older voice to write it. It still felt like it was at least between them. But this movie, because of what happened with Last Jedi and like people, how it was so divisive, it felt like it was a course correction. And it felt like it was a bigger, again, hands at play that were able to make it into a movie, but it just didn't feel like it was, you know, made by one individual or two individuals. I mean, it just felt like lots of people.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of retconning, especially after The Last Jedi. And like you mentioned, I think when they decided to do The Last Jedi with Ryan, they were kind of just like, okay, well, you can write it, you can direct it, we'll see what happens. And then I think they just got scared of the backlash against The Last Jedi, even though there was a lot of really good commentary on it. Like, it's my favorite out of the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my favorite Star Wars movies in general. So there's that. But I just think that they got too freaked out by all the people that didn't like it, that they were like, well, let's go back to JJ because The Force Awakens was better received. And I don't know. He just seems like he played it safer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To me, I think the great thing that's going to come out of this in years' time is what actually happened. And I'm sure there's going to be...
I want a documentary on that.
Yep. There's going to be articles, documentaries. You know, I'm sure the people that made it, there'll be interviews where slowly all this information starts to trickle out. And to me, that's going to be way more fascinating than what ended up happening because, like I said, it just felt like there was a bigger, pun intended, force that was sort of controlling everything about this movie. And I remember hearing about there was all these reshoots, which isn't, you know, a big thing in movies, that they're like reshoots. Okay. Which isn't a strange thing for movies to have reshoots. But because it is a Star Wars film and because of all the baggage that sort of came with this movie, people were making it, I think, into a big deal. And how much of that was course correction, like you were saying, in response to, you know, trying to please the fans.
Then you have one of the things that I think is really interesting, and I wish I could get my hands on. I don't even know if you can get your hands on it anymore because I think they took it off. It was like one of the original concept art books that came out in, I think it came out in Japan first, or it was supposed to come out in Japan first. I remember seeing scans of it like all over Twitter, and there was all this really cool art. Like there was concept art of Rey and Ben on the throne, which Rey does mention in the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, but there's actual concept art of it. There's concept art of, like, I think the original Trevorrow script where Hux is on Coruscant and they've established like a First Order base there. And then towards the end of the movie, Hux realizes that they've lost. So he takes a lightsaber and like does seppuku, which is like where you like stab yourself in the stomach.
Yeah.
Because like I guess Hux collects lightsabers. Like you find that out in that script for some reason, which is weird. But the concept art of that is really cool. I'm sure if you look it up online, you'll totally find it. And then there's another concept art of Chewie when he's being held in on Kylo's ship and Kylo interrogating Chewie, which also is a really cool piece of concept art. So there was that whole thing, which I think they were supposed to release that book and then they didn't. They like pulled it back for whatever reason.
Yeah, I remember when that sort of released, and obviously like the Trevorrow script got leaked, and there were all, I mean, that's another podcast for another day, another video for another day. But it'll be intriguing to see what happens with the saga and whether or not Rian Johnson's going to be able to make his new trilogy. and I know directors have been announced that are already gonna make maybe standalones and whatnot, but it'll be interesting to see what's gonna happen with Star Wars from now on, and not just theatrically, but with Disney Plus and all that.
Well, I'm still excited for it. This hasn't really soured my interest in Star Wars at all.
Mm,
I don't think so.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, I think I'm more of. We'll see what happens. I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not really sort of. I mean, Mandalorian's great. I won't say like the whole thing's great, but because it does get a little bit slow, but I think there's a lot of potential there that can be expanded upon. But you just need the right people, and you need sort of the empire that is Disney to sort of just let the creatives do their job, and they'll come out with a solid product. So that's our live commentary on the Rise of Skywalker. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, even though we were pretty critical of it. But all being said, there are great moments in the movie, and there are things to think about. And so hopefully we've sort of talked about things that maybe you hadn't thought of before. And if you really liked this video, we'll do more commentaries about other subjects, different films. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.